This next lock set, interior lock set we're going to do is a Schlage, and it's a with a lever on the inside and a knob on the other side. And like before, key has to be turned at least 90 degrees to press the pin. We've looked around here. We found a small pinhole right here. And to depress this pinhole, Schlage makes a tool with a small pinhole on the end. And through the years, I've made my own tool. This one's fairly easy to make. What it is the end of a choke knob out of an older car, and it's just cut off with about 1 inch of the wire. It makes it really good for pushing, especially on automotive or some of the household stuff. But we're going to use the Schlage tool today. Key's turned 90 degrees. We're going to press the pin in. That releases the knob, and it just slides right off there. This particular knob has a tin cover that lifts off. If we rotate the key back to the point where we can exit from the lock cylinder, we can just slide this cylinder right out. If we take the clip off of here, the E-clip, put the key back in, put a follower on it, we can rekey this Schlage cylinder. To reassemble it, you would slide it back in. Sometimes it's easier to put the key in on the other side of the knob. That gives you something to hang on to. Slide your tin cover over. Make sure that it's seated. If you notice on the inside here, there's a groove up here, and then there's a boss right here. These two have to go together. This is so that the hole on the side here that you depress is lined up in the right position. Remember, we have to turn this thing 90 degrees when we're putting it together. And also we're going to have to engage the drive shaft into the end of the lock so the lock will work properly. We're going to depress the pin that retains the knob on, slide it on, you'll hear a click. Yeah, we got it in the wrong place. There again, this is what getting this thing's timed right. And make sure it operates properly. Turn our knob. We're back on. Key works now. You always want to check and make sure that your key works properly. Unlocks and locks the lock before you leave the job site. Everything's working properly. Want to make sure that the button works too, so that we got everything lined up inside. It's locked and the inside works. The inside's set up as a safety precaution so that you can always open the door whether it's locked or not. It'd be terrible to be locked in a building and go to grab that knob and not be able to move it and have to worry about unlocking it to get out. They put that on as a safety feature in case of a fire. There you go on your Schlage interior lock set. Fairly easy to rekey. Remember this pin on the inside, the key has to be turned 90 degrees to release. I'm going to take this thing back apart, key back in and turn it 90 degrees, and I'm going to, on the inside here, you'll see why. If we turn this lock, that's the lock position. You see where it bumps into the pin here, and if we turn it to this position, you can see where you have more room to push that pin in. That's why we've got to turn it that 90 degrees. This prevents the lock from being taken off of the lock set without having the key or without picking the lock. Got to get everything lined up here. There we go. Push it in, engage your drive shaft. Turn the key 90 degrees, depress the pin here. Slide it onto here, click, make sure your key turns. It's locking. unlocking, we're all set. Now that we've done several of these, you'll notice that most of them unlock, the knob comes off by this pin series, and the key usually has to turn. I say no, usually the key always has to turn this 90 degrees so that you can't disassemble it without the key or picking the lock. And just about all your locks have made it fairly easy to disassemble by this pin method. They've either got a pin or a little disc in the side here to disassemble it. Some of your newer models will have a key that you can put in, and the key will release the lock. It's a modified key. This next lock set we're going to do is a Schlage, and it's very similar to the one we just did, but it doesn't use a key.